The Bashkirs, Bashkir, Başqorttar, are a Turkic people indigenous to Bashkortostan, extending on both sides of the Ural Mountains, on the place where Europe meets Asia. Groups of Bashkirs also live in the Republic of Tatarstan, Perm Krai, Chelyabinsk, Orenburg, Tyumen, Sverdlovsk, Kurgan, Samara, and Saratov oblasts of Russia, as well as in Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, and other countries. Most Bashkirs speak the Bashkir language, which belongs to the Kypchak branch of the Turkic languages and share cultural affinities with the broader Turkic peoples. In religion, the Bashkirs are mainly Sunni Muslims of the Hanafi madhhab. There are several theories regarding the etymology of the name Bashqort. The historian and archaeologist Mikhail Artamonov suggests that it is a corruption of the name of the Bwsxk, or Bwsxk, an Iranian-speaking Scythian tribe that previously lived in the area now called Bashkortostan. Ethnologist R.G. Kuzev defines the ethnonym as Bash main, head, and Kort clan, tribe. According to the theory of 18th century ethnographers V. N. Tatishchev, P. I. Ritkov, and Johann Gottlieb Georgi, the word Bashqort means wolf leader of the pack, Bash main Kort wolf. In 1847, historian V. S. Umatov suggested the meaning as beekeeper, bee master. In 1885, another Russian historian and ethnologist, A. E. Elektorov, suggested that Bashqort means distinct nation. Famous Turkologist N. A. Baskakov believed that the word Bashqort consists of two parts, bads, a, brother-in-law, and o, gur, and means Ugrik's brother-in-law. Ethnologist N. V. Bekbulatov's theory states that the term originates from the name of legendary Khazar warlord Bashgird, who was dwelling with 2,000 of his warriors in the area of the Yake River. According to Douglas Morton Dunlop, the word Bashqort comes from Bashqir, which means 5 tribes. Since sh in the modern language complies with l in Bulgar, the ethnonyms Bashqort, Bashqir, and Bulgar are equivalent. Historian and linguist Andras Ronatas believes the ethnonym Bashkir is a Bulgar-Turkic reflex of the Hungarian self-denomination Magyar, Old Hungarian, Major. History. Early records on the Bashkirs are found in medieval works by Salim Tarjiman, 9th century, and Ibn Fadlan, 10th century. Al-Baqi, 10th century, described Bashkirs as a people divided into 2 groups, one inhabiting the southern Urals, the second group living on the Danube plain near the boundaries of Byzantium, therefore given the geography and date referring to either Danube Bulgars or Magyars. Ibn Rusta, a contemporary of al-Baqi, observed that Bashkirs were an independent people occupying territories on both sides of the Ural mountain ridge between Volga, Kama, and Tobol rivers and upstream of the Yaik River. Ahmed Ibn Fadlan visited Volga, Bulgaria as a staff member in the embassy of the Caliph of Baghdad in 922. He described them as a belligerent Turk nation. Ibn Fadlan described the Bashkirs as nature worshippers, identifying their deities as various forces of nature, birds, and animals. He also described the religion of acculturated Bashkirs as a variant of Tengrism, including 12 gods and naming Tengri Lord of the Endless Blue Sky. The first European sources to mention the Bashkirs are the works of Jonas de Plano Carpini and William of Rubruquis in the mid-13th century. These travelers, encountering Bashkir tribes in the upper parts of the Ural River, called them Paskatir or Bastarsi, and asserted that they spoke the same language as the Hungarians. During the 10th century, Islam spread among the Bashkirs. By the 14th century, Islam had become the dominant religious force in Bashkir society. By 1236, lands of Bashkortostan were incorporated into the empire of Genghis Khan. During the 13th and 14th centuries, all of Bashkortostan was part of the Golden Horde. The brother of Batu Khan, Shaybani, received the Bashkir lands to the east of the Ural Mountains, at that time inhabited by the ancestors of contemporary Kurgan Bashkirs. During the period of Mongolian Tatar dominion, the features of Kypchaks a part of Bashkirs. Under the Golden Horde, separate Mongolian elements. During the 17th and 18th centuries a part of the Kalmyks and Middle Asian Sarts. From the 16th to the 20th centuries, various groups of Tatars. After the breakup of the Mongol Empire, the Bashkirs were separated between Nogay Horde and Kazan and Siberian Khanates, founded in the 15th century. Trans-Ural Bashkirs were subordinated to the Siberian Khanate. Early modern period. In the late 16th and early 19th centuries, Bashkirs occupied the territory from the left bank of the Volga on the southwest to the river heads of Tobol in the east, from the river Silva in the north, to the middle stream of the Yaik in the south, in the middle and southern Urals, in Cis-Urals, including Volga territory and Trans-Urals. In the middle of the 16th century, Bashkirs joined the Russian state. Previously they formed parts of the Nogayskaya, Kazan, Sibir, and partly, Astrakhan Khanates. Charters of Ivan the Terrible to Bashkir tribes became the basis of their contractual relationship with the Tsar's government. Primary documents pertaining to the Bashkirs during this period have been lost. Some are mentioned in the Shejara, family trees of the Bashkir. The Bashkirs rebelled in 1662-64 and 1675-83 and 1705-11. In 1676, the Bashkirs rebelled under a leader named Syed Sadr or Sait Sajarov, and the Russian army had great difficulties in ending the rebellion. The Bashkirs rose again in 1707, under Aldar and Kuzhium, on account of ill treatment by the Russian officials. The third insurrection occurred in 1735, at the time of the foundation of Orenburg, and it lasted for 6 years. From at least the time of Peter the Great there had been talk of pushing southeast toward Persia and India. Ivan Kirillov drew up a plan to build a fort to be called Orenburg at Orsk at the confluence of the Or River and the Ural River southeast of the Urals where the Bashkir, Kalmyk, and Kazakh lands join. Work was started at Orsk in 1735, but by 1743 Orenburg was moved about 250 kilometers west to its present location. The next planned step was to build a fort on the Aral Sea. This would involve crossing the Bashkir country and then the lands of the Kazakh Lesser Horde, some of whom had recently offered a nominal submission. Kirillov's plan was approved on May 1, 1734 and he was placed in command. He was warned that this would provoke a Bashkir rebellion, but the warnings were ignored. He left Ufa with 2,500 men in 1735 and fighting started on the 1st of July. The war consisted of many small raids and complex troop movements, so it cannot be easily summarized. For example, in the spring of 1736 Kirillov burned 200 villages, killed 700 in battle and executed 158. An expedition of 773 men left Orenburg in November and lost 500 from cold and hunger. During, at Sientuza the Bashkir planned to massacre sleeping Russian. The ambush failed. 1,000 villagers, including women and children, were put to the sword and another 500 driven into a storehouse and burned to death. Raiding parties then went out and burned about 50 villages and killed another 2,000. 8,000 Bashkirs attacked a Russian camp and killed 158, losing 40 killed and 3 prisoners who were promptly hanged. Rebellious Bashkirs raided loyal Bashkirs. Leaders who submitted were sometimes fined 1 horse per household and sometimes hanged. Bashkirs fought on both sides, 40% of Russian troops in 1740. Numerous leaders rose and fell. The oddest was Karasakal or Blackbeard, who pretended to have 82,000 men on the Aral Sea and had his followers proclaim him Khan of Bashkiria. His nose had been partly cut off and he had only 1 ear. Such mutilations are standard imperial punishments. The Kazakhs of the Little Horde intervened on the Russian side, then switched to the Bashkirs and then withdrew. Kirillov died of disease during the war and there were several changes of commander. All this was at the time of Empress Anna of Russia and the Russo-Turkish War, 1735–1739. Although the history of the 1735 Bashkir War cannot be easily summarized, its results can be. The southern side of Bashkiria was fenced off by the Orenburg line of forts. It ran from Samara on the Volga east up the Samara River to its headwaters, crossed to the middle Ural River and followed it east and then north on the east side of the Urals and went east down the Ui River to Bwsxk on the Tobol River, where it connected to the ill-defined Siberian line along the forest steppe boundary. In 1740 a report was made of Bashkir losses which gave, killed, 16,893, sent to Baltic regiments and fleet, 3,236, women and children distributed, presumably as serfs 8,382, grand total, 28,511. Fines, horses, 12,283, cattle and sheep, 6,076, money, 9,828 rubles. Villages destroyed, 696. As this was compiled from army reports, it excludes losses from irregular raiding, hunger, disease and cold. All this was from an estimated Bashkir population of 100,000. Later, in 1774, the Bashkirs, under the leadership of Salavat Ulayev, supported Pugachev's rebellion. In 1786, the Bashkirs achieved tax-free status, and in 1798 Russia formed an irregular Bashkir army from among them. Residual land ownership disputes continued. The Bashkirs lived between the Kama, Volga, Samara, and Tobol rivers. The Samara River extends from the hairpin curve of the Volga east to the base of the Urals. The Tobol is east of the upper Ural River. Orsk is where the Ural turns westward. The Belyu River with the town of Ufa cuts through the center. Demographics. The area settled by the Bashkirs in the Idel-Ural region according to the National Census of 2010. Further information, Bashkir language and Bashkortostan. The ethnic Bashkir population is estimated at roughly 2 million people, 2009 SIL Ethnologue, of which about 1.4 million speak the Bashkir language, a Turkic language of the Kypchak group. The Russian census of 2002 recorded 1.38 million Bashkir speakers in the Russian Federation. Most Bashkirs are bilingual in Bashkir and Russian. The 2010 Russian census recorded 1,172,287 ethnic Bashkirs in Bashkortostan, 29.5% of total population. About 50% of Bashkirs are Muslim, 25% are unaffiliated, 11% are atheist, and 2% are pagan. There are also about less than 1% Protestant and Catholic Bashkirs. Culture. It has been suggested that music in the Republic of Bashkortostan be merged into this article. Discuss, proposed since April 2012. Bashkir woman in national costume, 1910. The Bashkirs are predominantly Sunni Muslims of the Hanafi madhhab. The Bashkirs traditionally practiced agriculture, cattle rearing, and beekeeping. The half-nomadic Bashkirs wandered either the mountains or the steppes, herding cattle. Bashkir national dishes include a kind of gruel called oira and a cheese named koro. Wild hive beekeeping can be named as a separate component of the most ancient culture which is practiced in the same Burzyansky district near to the Shulgantash cave. Ural Batyr and Akbuzat are Bashkir national epics. Their plot concerns struggle of heroes against demonic forces. The peculiarity of them is that events and ceremonies described there can be addressed to a specific geographical and historical object, the Shulgantash cave and its vicinities. Genetics. Genetic studies have revealed that most Bashkir males belong to Y-DNA haplogroup R1b, which is otherwise concentrated in Western Europe. This has lent support to theories such as the Kurgan hypothesis, i.e. that the original homeland of the Proto-Indo-Europeans lay immediately west of the Ural Mountains, in or near present-day Bashkortostan, and Mikhail Artamonov's suggestion that the Bashkirs are descended from the Bwsxk, a Scythian tribe that became culturally Turkified, including a process of language replacement, during the Turkic migrations of the first millennium CE.